The freezing waters to the west of Alaska. This is summer. It feels like winter. Here, the Bering Sea collides with the northern Pacific in a stormy battle of wills. And here, Andreas Kieling navigates his boat, the TARDIS, through the dangerous straits between the Aleutian Islands. He sails to the home of the giant grizzlies. For 10 years, he has come to film them. Now he has 5 weeks to get reacquainted before the storm season begins and the weather really turns bad.
I'm going to try to get into this fjord. I'll be protected when I get into the bay.
Finding a quiet anchorage in this remote sea is crucial. If something goes wrong, no one can help him. This island, Unimak, lies off the tip of the Alaska Peninsula. It's the largest of the Aleutian Islands. And home to the second largest land omnivores on Earth, coastal brown bears, more notoriously known as grizzlies. Normally solitary, grizzlies converge under the right conditions. Here and now, conditions are right. It's summertime, and the salmon have returned to spawn. When the tide goes out, the bears get to work, rummaging through the almost dry inlets for the fatty fish. Distracted, they allow Andreas to move in close. They probably remember him, or his scent. This marks his 5th visit to these far-flung beaches. But Andreas has another reason to feel safe. Humans are not usually on the bears' menu. As long as he doesn't get between them and their fish, he'll stay practically invisible.
It's fine for them to be so close to me. In all the years I've been filming here, I've never been attacked by a bear.
The bears make the fishing look easy, but it takes a sharp eye and quick reflexes. As the salmon race upriver towards their spawning grounds, the bears manage to catch just a tiny percentage of them. In shallow water, the bears try to squash the salmon against the gravel. In deep water, the bears have a tougher time. Andreas has seen some bears catch 50 salmon a day. The clumsier ones manage only about 10. The brimming pools of salmon provoke some not-so-friendly competition. These two females aren't fighting over the fish, but over the right to use this prime fishing spot. For now, it looks like a draw, but tempers still run hot. Andreas has to watch out as he moves in close to the bears. Anger and hunger can make them unpredictable. But that's not all. The dark bear is pregnant, and the bigger, paler one has her chubby cub lagging behind. So the matrons have more than their own bellies to think about. The 2-year-old cub has 1 summer left with his mother. He'll hibernate with her this winter, and then he's on his own. But for now, mother and son join forces. They make a formidable team against their pregnant challenger. While she retreats, the pair fortifies itself for the next round. And Andreas catches his breath after that wild encounter.
That was pretty hot. They were pretty close. I just hope they don't confuse me with a bear.
Looks like the pregnant bear has had enough. She'll have to find another fishing hole. Andreas struggles over the rocky stream to witness salmon fishing at its finest. The locals call it Bear Creek, and for good reason. About 1 kilometer upriver, the bears slowly gather at a waterfall. They carefully stake out their position at the falls and then protect their spot. These silvery fish, known as chum salmon or dog salmon, swim and leap upstream from the Gulf of Alaska to spawn in the calm headwaters. The ones that make it will lay 2,400 eggs or more. The bears seem to know exactly when the salmon will leap. Fishing is serious business, and each catch is a prize. Too good to share even with the cubs. But this cub will be okay. He's 2.5 years old and a lot stronger than he looks. He can fend for himself. When Andreas treks back to the TARDIS, he's shocked to find the boat jammed between the rocks, a victim of the changing tide. Expecting the worst, Andreas packs an emergency bag and prepares to abandon ship.
If the worst comes to the worst, the trip is over.
When the tide finally rises, Andreas has a window of only 10 minutes to nudge TARDIS off the rocks. With that crisis solved, Andreas spends the night planning the last few days of his trip. He wants to capture something very special before he leaves. No one has ever filmed a wild grizzly hunting underwater. He wants to do it. These waters hold plenty of food for any bear with initiative. Thick fur insulates against the icy waters. Andreas must rely on a wetsuit. On land, Andreas has calmly approached this grizzly for several days, building trust. But underwater, with his gear, that's a new situation. The grizzly acts cautious at first, but then goes about his business, deciding Andreas isn't a threat. The bear looks for salmon that died of exertion or after egg laying. The cold water keeps the meat fresh and tasty. Back at the creek, the fishing contest continues. With fewer salmon around, the grizzlies get more territorial than ever. One male even challenges Andreas. Or not.
I think he just didn't see me. Hey, I'm here. There are so many bears here. It's incredible.
The mothers bring their cubs with them. It looks idyllic, but actually it's very dangerous. As the mother chases after food or other bears, the cubs get neglected. The little ones can't keep up. Alone, they're completely vulnerable, easy prey for a marauding male bear bent on killing cubs. While the cubs watch uneasily, their mother picks a fight with a larger female. As always, the dominant bear wins the right to the fishing hole. Grizzlies have no natural enemies and can live up to 25 years. Yet as many as 50% of the cubs won't live past 5, killed by their own kin or by starvation, accidents, or disease. As the cold northern summer day gives way to the even colder summer night, Andreas leaves his bears and heads for one of the hottest, driest landscapes on Earth, on a quest for the giant crocodile. Andreas has come to Australia's Northern Territory looking for one of the largest reptiles on Earth, the Australian saltwater crocodile. On the way, a bushfire. For nature, it's a kind of opportunity.
Fire stick burning is the name of this type of fire. Mostly they are human-made, and only the dry grass burns down. And after a couple of weeks, the fresh green grass comes up. So it's a nature process.
But in the meantime, the blaze evicts thousands of small animals. The predators above await their feast. Australia's punishing heat has inspired some impressive architectural achievements, like these giant cooling towers built by some of the smallest residents of the bush.
Termite mounds. They are the biggest buildings ever made by insects. And this one, it's a real giant. I think he is higher than 6 yards and about 1,000 years old. That's the biggest I ever saw.
This unusual rock formation, sculpted by wind or water, separates the dry bush from the wet mangrove swamps and rainforests to the north, where the crocs live. In this amazing place, nature, art, and human history converge.
Some of this rock painting is older than 20,000 years. So, and the style is very special. It's called the X-ray style.
The Aborigines painted these animals from the inside out, showing their skeletons and internal organs. No one knows why. The rocks depict fish and lizards, but no paintings of the animal Andreas has come to see, the saltwater crocodile. The dry season from May to September has shrunk much of the Mary River into a marshy swamp, making it easier to spot the crocs. At this time of year, the temperature grows a little cooler and the crocodiles begin to slow down. The river becomes the gathering spot for the local animals, both predators and prey. Saltwater crocodiles have a fierce reputation as the most aggressive species of crocs. Andreas switches off the engine so he can approach quietly. Apparently not quietly enough. This 5-meter crocodile resents the intrusion. Saltwater crocodiles fear humans and will usually flee. The next day, it seems as if all the crocodiles have fled. But when a small crocodile splashes away, it may mean something.
The crocodile has gone. All the older crocs here on the Mary River have very well established territories. And of course, they defend them against interlopers. One problem this year was that the rainy season was so bad and the river rose so high that many crocodile nests have simply been flooded. Let's see if the eggs are still in here. Oh, what's that? It was just a little fish, and I thought it was a crocodile. I'm going to go downstream. The river's a little wider there.
Andreas finds an impressive specimen lounging on the bank. This is what he's come for. Now he doesn't want to scare it off.
Oh, we've gone aground. He's a big one.
The uneasy croc slips into the shelter of the river. But Andreas won't give up so easily.
You know, normally crocodiles in the whole world, they don't trust people too much. Especially if they stay on land and we are on water, it's a different thing. So they feel much more safer in the water. I like to try how close I can come to him.
Crocodiles have sharp vision, hearing, and sense of smell. On land, they can feel the vibration of Andreas' footsteps. This croc, after a meal, probably wishes Andreas would go away. He doesn't want to share his food with anyone. He'll take it to go.
Oh, it's a crocodile nest. But the hatching season is over, so there's a lot of eggs in. They have about the size from a goose egg. And interesting is, the sex of the youngs is dictated by the temperature in the nest. Around 30 degrees Celsius, only females they hatch out from the eggs. If the temperature goes up to 31 degrees, males and females, they are born. And if the temperature goes up to 32 degrees Celsius, you will have only males. But definitely no one will hatch out from this egg. They are rotten. Yeah, really bad. It's a huge crocodile bull right in front of me. It's really a big old one.
He could be 80 years old and probably weighs a ton. He didn't get to live so long by being nice. The fire drives off the mosquitoes, not the crocs. Around here, the night has 1,000 eyes.
I'm really amazed how many young crocodiles I see at night here in the swamps. In the daytime you see maybe one or two, but at night looks like the whole swamp is full with him.
This one is very young. When they get stressed, they let out these stress cries. About 50% of them won't reach the first birthday. After a few weeks, the parents stop looking after them, and then they may just as easily eat them.
See you later, Gator.
It can seem like a cruel survival strategy, but it works. Crocodiles have roamed here since before the dinosaurs. Now they're protected against humans and are free to hunt at will.
This looks to me like a kangaroo colony. It's unbelievable how many animals there are. Where you see kangaroos, they are almost certainly crocodiles too.
A crocodile will lurk near the shore and pounce on a hapless kangaroo grazing too close to the water. On land, crocodiles may seem like lumbering, awkward beasts, but in their element, they become creatures of beauty and grace. And that's where Andreas wants to film them. Underwater. In the river, the crocodile has every advantage, and Andreas faces a greater risk. He'll have to count on the croc's naturally suspicious nature.
Crocodiles need a bit of time to get used to a new kind of prey. They get used to one species at a time. Wallabies, fish, wild pigs, dingoes. And in that sense, I'm something quite new for them. They need a bit of time before they can identify me as prey. I want to use that time to film the crocodile.
As long as Andreas doesn't overstay his welcome, he can enjoy this brief but wild encounter. In time, a suspicious crocodile will revert to full predator mode. But in the mountains of Asia hides a creature so timid, it's difficult to get within a mile of it. A challenge Andreas can't resist. North of the Himalayas in the Tian Shan mountains of Kyrgyzstan, Andreas has come here not for the yaks, but to find the biggest sheep in the world, the notoriously elusive Polo Argali. After 2 days in a Russian army truck, Andreas comes across his first Argali at a nomad encampment. This one's a lamb and fully domesticated. Not exactly what he had in mind.
They hunt the Polo Argali here, and this one is an orphan. They found him as a newborn in the spring, so he's only 4 or 5 months old. They bottle fed him, and you can see how incredibly tame he's become.
Wild Argali are notoriously timid, and to find them, Andreas must head deep into the mountains. But he doesn't get far before the truck breaks down. He leaves it behind, grabs his equipment, and makes his first excursion into the field. This is tough territory, and the thin, cold air doesn't make it any easier.
It's cold, and my water bottle is frozen solid. We are almost at 4,000 meters here, and it's November. My toothpaste is frozen too. Have to sort it out. Today started well.
Andreas refuses to let the harsh conditions restrict his morning routine.
think once is enough.
When the great Italian explorer Marco Polo came through here in the 13th century, he described seeing gigantic sheep's horns. It was said the people used them to make fences to protect their livestock. Andreas finds an Argali skeleton. No telling how long it lay here in the cold. But the bones show that Marco Polo didn't exaggerate about the Argali. The road ends here, so Andreas needs a horse. Throughout Central Asia, regular horse markets form the center of business and social life.
This horse is more than 4 years old. He's trying to cheat me. We are going to need a lot of these up in the mountains, going up and down the rocky slopes.
These hills look gentle, but don't be fooled. The team is already about 4,000 meters up and climbing into thin air. The going gets tougher. For a newcomer like Andreas, and even for his experienced guides, Onur and Tamer. After 2 days, they spot a herd of Marco Polo Argali across the border in China, not always on the friendliest terms with Kyrgyzstan. Probably no one would notice if the team crossed, but they can't take that chance. Instead, they catch their breath and change some horseshoes. They continue their quest through a deep forested valley and fresh snow. The temperature has dropped to -10 Celsius. The others have already crossed the river. Andreas proceeds carefully. One slip in the frigid waters would be miserable and possibly fatal. As the weather deteriorates, Onur finds them shelter in a friend's yurt. Tamer returns home, hoping to beat the storm. The men appreciate the warmth. And a proper meal.
This is the first hot meal I've had in 3 weeks. It really feels good.
When the weather clears, the yurt's owner, Khan, leaves with them. The wind kicks up, and the Argalis are nowhere to be seen.
This is really torture for horse and rider.
But then Khan gets distracted. A snow leopard tracker in Soviet times, he still can't resist following the tracks of those hard-to-find cats. A leopard's territory can extend to approximately 500 square kilometers. These silent cats have no fear of people, but humans rarely see them. Still no sign of the elusive Argalis. The men continue their grueling quest.
We are now at almost 4,300 meters. The air is really thin here, and every step is exhausting. The camera equipment weighs so heavy on our shoulders. But there had to be a reason. The Marco Polo Argalis have never been filmed before. We are now very close to a group. The Marco Polos are just on the other side of the ridge, about 200 meters away. They can't see us and they can't smell us because they are upwind of us.
But the Argalis keep moving further away. They get nervous if they sense a person within a 500-meter radius. Andreas needs his white camouflage coat to move in closer. He has a long walk ahead of him. He can capture the sheep with his long lens, but the layers of cold and warm air distort the image. That won't do.
I'm going to try climbing up after them when they've reached the peak. The wind's in my favor. Should be okay. I'm almost at the top, just another 100 meters. But I don't think I'm going to be able to get up to the Marco Polos. They've all moved on again. I think human beings don't belong up here.
This is Argali country, and the mountains have always belonged to them. Andreas leaves the Argali's harsh world for his next encounter, a more hospitable place where the king of the beasts lives in exile. In Roman times, Asian lions ranged from Greece to China, but today only about 300 survive, and every one of them lives here in Gir National Park in western India. Andreas has come to the park to see how they've adapted. This forest of acacia, fig and teak trees spans about 1,300 square kilometers, large by human standards, but it's all that stands between the lions and extinction. Most lions don't normally live in forests. They're animals of the savanna, dividing the plains into separate territories to stay out of each other's way. But these displaced cats have learned to make do in this small, protected environment. The Asian lions share the Gir forest with spotted axis and sambar deer, their main prey. But the dry season makes hunting difficult. The crunch of leaves underfoot alerts the prey. Andreas has the same problem trying to film here. He gets some help from the locals. The Maldhari people live right inside the national park. They give Andreas a lesson in camel cart driving and show him where to find lions.
So I like to leave the cart here in the man, because we are right in the center of the Gir forest now, and this area has the highest density on lions. Was nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nearby, a sambar deer and her fawn browse in the forest, unaware of the lioness crouched and ready to attack. She's using the Maldhari roads to keep quiet. But she won't make it this time. Only 1 in 20 attacks succeeds here. Now it's just the hungry lioness and Andreas. He knows enough about big cats to be very, very careful. But she ignores him, too focused on finding more prey and accustomed to seeing humans from the Maldhari village nearby. And it's just too darned hot.
I think for this morning the hunt is over, and now they go in the forest and wait for the evening time.
While Andreas waits for the lions, he'll find some fresh water.
You always have to filter water here. It takes time, but there are just too many bacteria in it. And this is the only water anywhere around here that I can get.
You never know who you're sharing your water with. Like, for example, water buffalo. Buffalo demonstrate a family's prosperity. Milk products fetch a high price. The buffalo herder tends several families' livestock. He knows all that goes on in this section of the park.
You saw lion here?
No lion.
No lion.
Instead, Andreas spots a sambar deer taking the opportunity to grab a bite. During the dry season, it's not easy to find enough leaves to sustain itself. It will have to bide its time for 2 more months until the monsoon rains come, making the forest lush again. Unlike most lions, the Gyr lions don't hunt in prides, and the males have to catch their own prey. At most, 2 females might live and hunt together. Andreas reaches the Malhari village and his old friend.
Ah, this is my camel.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go inside. Come on. Come.
The whole village is protected by a thorn bush. It's to stop the lions coming in. This is where the cows are kept at night. And the Maltaris are afraid. The lions will come at night and grab one of their calves.
The villagers aren't wearing all this gold just to impress Andreas. The Malharis are traditionally adorned with jewelry and intricate tattoos. They also have a fascination for big cats.
Even so, the Maltaris don't especially like lions. They have pictures of them.
Even African lions they've never seen.
So, das ist mein Bett. That's my bed. I can sleep here for the night. Thank you.
The next morning, Andreas renews his quest. He gets a tip on where he can find a large dead buffalo just killed by 2 lions.
Okay, see you again. Bye-bye.
He hopes to catch the beasts in action.
There's the carcass.
One lion guards it. He looks old and sick. He won't be the one who killed it. The lion that did kill it won't be too far away.
I think I should leave. This lion's showing no reaction. And the other lion must be somewhere nearby.
As Andreas moves on, he witnesses another scene that underscores the Gyr lion's plight. A pride of young lions and a female with a litter of newborn healthy cubs. The lion population has started to grow. Sounds like good news, but there's no more space here. India has taken Asiatic lions to other national parks. They thrived, but when they began attacking local livestock, the villagers poisoned them. Gyr National Park has become the only place on Earth to welcome and nurture the Asian lions, the last refuge for an entire species. Meanwhile, 5,000 kilometers away, a different species has adapted to civilization a little too well. When night falls in Romania, the beasts come out. Enormous, ravenous, and with an unsettling appetite. It's no joke for the people of Brasov in central Romania, terrorized, sometimes mutilated by brown bears. The police have tried to scare the bears away, but now they're back with a vengeance. Andreas Kieling wants to solve the mystery of the marauding bears. But first of all, why Brasov?
Brasov is the 2nd largest city in Romania and the only city where huge brown bears come into town. Every night, bears come from the hillsides of the Carpathians right into here, and they dig in the garbage containers.
Andreas has seen plenty of bears in his career, but he's never seen them act like this before. can he help stop them?
No. No.
As the city grew, these animals adapted to live in two completely different habitats, urban and pristine countryside. Their original home in the Carpathian Mountains lies beyond the beautiful Romanian plains with some remarkable wildlife, like the great bustard, among the heaviest flying birds in Europe and Asia.
Скажи, пожалуйста, текушу. На текушу.
Da, trebuie să meargă pe aici. Unde mergem?
As Andreas drives deeper into the countryside, he travels further back in time. The villages here haven't changed in 2 centuries. And neither have the forests. These dense, unmanaged woods recall the enchanted forests of old world fairy tales. What strange creatures dwell here.
This dead wood is very important for the health of the forest. It can support hundreds of species, especially species of insects that no longer exist in Western Europe.
Andreas knows about wild boars from his work as a forest ranger in Germany. Experience has taught him the importance of sizing up their mood and their status before getting too close.
It's like with the wolves. The alpha female boar gets the first bite, just like the alpha female wolf has the first bite at the deer. Here, the hierarchy is clear to see. I think she's intelligent enough to know I'm not a threat. But a wild boar once nearly bit my finger off. That was horribly painful. And I got this scar here from a boar's tusks.
But Andreas has come here for bears, not boars. He gets back to work. A forester has given Andreas a deer carcass to attract the bears. But some party crashers arrive first. And then they have second thoughts.
The wolves, they don't trust the carcass. I think my sense is still too strong on this animal, so they don't like to come close.
Generations of people have learned to fear the big bad wolf, but wolves fear people almost as much, and they're not so fond of bears either. When a mama bear and 2 nearly adult cubs arrive, the wolves decide it's time to leave. The bears enjoy their catered meal, and that's the problem. The forest offers enough for the bears to live on, but the city's garbage provides much easier pickings. The bears would rather go out to eat. The problem will only get worse. Female bears that eat from dumpsters tend to have more cubs than bears that stick to a forest diet. But this place is a long way from the city. How far will a bear travel for a meal at the dump? Only one way to find out. A big heavy animal like a brown bear leaves a strong scent, making it easy to track. Meantime, the bears abandon the leftovers to the wolves. The next day, Andreas returns with Sita, a Hanover. She can follow a scent for miles. She and Andreas team up to track a bear.
This isn't a especially big bear, but still, my hand fits into the print. It's an adult, 5 to 10 years old. That makes a print like this. This is interesting. The bear scratched his tree. I can see lots of hairs here where he rubbed himself. The bear crossed here, did he?
Sita, komm. And by the way, this is Dracula's castle.
After a brisk walk over the rugged, scenic Carpathians, sure enough, the trail leads Andreas and Sita back to the city of Brasov.
And here we are again, back at the garbage dump. And here comes the garbage truck.
The bear has traveled 25 kilometers to get here. Tonight, the forest has set a trap to capture some bears and send them further away than that. Hopefully too far away for them to make their way back. They bait their trap with honey. Much easier to find in the city than a dead deer. And bears really do like it.
A small bear is coming along, and a second one behind it. 2 young bears.
The bears take the bait. But before the last bear gets into the cage,
Damn! A sheepdog is chasing the bears away.
and so this time, the 3 bears lived happily ever after. The Sunda Islands of Indonesia dot the waters between the South China Sea and the Indian Ocean. Andreas Kieling has come here in search of a killer, the biggest and most dangerous lizard on Earth, the Komodo dragon. Komodos inhabit just 6 of the 17,500 Indonesian islands. The human population has likely banished the dragons from most of the others, but on these last 6, the Komodos and humans have come to terms. First stop, the island of Flores, not for the dragons, but to gather provisions for the days ahead.
80,000, okay. I was close by.
Ah, this is a twin pack.
60,000. He looks sick.
The best way to keep meat fresh here is to keep it alive. But on second thoughts, Andreas decides to go vegetarian. That evening he sails to the island of Rinca. He has everything he needs now, except the Komodo dragons. He's optimistic. Andreas has heard that dragons and people live side by side on Rinca. It's an exciting moment. One of Andreas' childhood dreams is about to come true.
And there's my first dragon. I can't believe it. It's a young one. Komodo dragons sleep at night. They are not nocturnal. At night, they dig pits and lie in them. Every morning, they have to warm up again. He is drinking from the toilet.
When the sun came up, this groggy fellow dragged himself out of bed and headed for the bathroom. He hasn't warmed up yet, so he can't move too fast.
Hey, this is my toilet. Come on out.
He's still a little guy. The biggest dragons can grow to over 3 meters. They can live 30 years or more, learning to adapt to a changing island. All the water holes around here are drying up. There's only salt water left. That's why they seek out places like this. Later, Andreas sets off to find Komodo dragons in their hunting grounds. They like to ambush their prey in the brush and the long grass. This place looks perfect.
This whole area looks like a big buffalo graveyard. Bones everywhere. When a water buffalo is bitten by a Komodo dragon, it comes back to this mud hole to cool his wounds and bring the fever down. But this one's okay.
Andreas finds baby Komodos scrambling in the trees, and for good reason. Adult Komodos love their babies to death. Given the chance, the adults will eat their own young. Though grown-up Komodo dragons can climb trees, most are too heavy even to try. When food grows scarce, it makes sense to eliminate potential competition by snacking on the young. Adult Komodos mostly tolerate each other when their paths cross. All they really care about is their next meal.
The dragons use their moist forked tongue to sweep sand particles out of the air. They have an internal nose in their palate where they process the sand.
Komodo dragons can smell carrion from 4 kilometers away or more. And because they have no fixed territory, they'll go anywhere to find a comfortable spot and a handy meal, including people's homes. The islanders build their houses on stilts. That provides a small amount of defense against poisonous spiders, snakes, and bold Komodos. But dragons are perfectly capable of climbing stairs, and when they do, the islanders use these long forked sticks to send them packing. Komodos usually live alone. Males fight over only one thing. The right to mate. These cold-blooded killers don't bite each other. Instead, they use their enormously powerful neck muscles to wrestle one another to the ground. The Komodo's greatest threat comes from grass fires, natural disasters, and human encroachment. They can swim well enough to occasionally cross between islands. Now it's Andreas' turn to cross. He heads to the main island of Komodo, where the dragons have much more space to live further from humans. Komodo isn't far from Rinka, but the boat wouldn't make it if the crew didn't keep pumping. Komodo has a poor population. A rare visitor like Andreas excites the children and perhaps brings business to the fishermen.
That's a little cat. It's maybe 8 to 10 days old. So where's the mother from the cat?
Where's the mother from the cat?
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah? Okay,
They suspect she was eaten by a Komodo dragon or perhaps something else.
This is the place with the highest density of poisonous snakes on Earth. That's why I'm wearing baggy trousers. Most of the poisonous snakes here aren't very big. But when a snake bites, it begins to inject poison right away. So now the poison can run down the inside of my trouser leg, and that's much better than in my leg. There could be something under here I don't want to meet. There we are. Okay. This is a Russell viper. It's one of the really poisonous snakes here. So any poison snake you have to hold like this with 3 fingers. And it's always good with the second hand to hold the body so they cannot move too much. Otherwise, if you came in panic, so this is much more safer.
The venom thins the blood and can cause kidney failure.
This is the most dangerous moment if you release a snake, because sometimes they turn very quick and then you get a bite.
With extreme caution, Andreas heads into dragon territory.
Oh, yes, I know. Here's a dead animal. It's a wild goat. It's been dead quite a while. No more rigor mortis.
Andreas waits for the Komodo to return.
It's a big one.
The dragons don't often kill their prey immediately. Their saliva is so full of bacteria, one bite delivers a slow death through blood poisoning. The victim usually dies within 3 days. Then the Komodo's sharp sense of smell tells him dinner is ready.
It's pulled off his head with one bite.
Komodos like their meat rotten, and their poisonous saliva guarantees it. Komodos don't fight over a kill, but graciously share the bounty. An adult Komodo can devour up to 80% of its body weight in a single meal. After the dragons have had their fill, they'll spend the next few weeks digesting it.
These Komodos have a kind of blood rush. When they finish the goat, I could be next. They will still be hungry.
Komodos seldom attack humans, but it does happen. A Frenchman bitten by a dragon took 2 years to die. Antibiotics didn't help. His wounds simply would not close. And in 2007, an 8-year-old boy was mauled to death by a Komodo dragon.
The Komodos have eaten the lot. I think I go now.
For now, the islanders and the Komodo dragons share the islands, but no one's sure for how long. Only about 4,000 of these protected lizards remain, and about 3/4 of them are male. With just 1,000 fertile females, the future of these prehistoric-looking creatures looks truly frightening. The Komodo dragons certainly aren't alone in their predicament. All over the world, animals feel the crush of human encroachment. And now Andreas wants to find some creatures that have hardly seen any humans at all. Kigali, the capital of Rwanda, Central Africa. In the 1990s, a civil war tore this nation apart. Now, with peace restored, the capital city is booming.
Before the civil war starts, Kigali has 150,000 people. And now, after the war, more than 1 million people live here in this town. So it's pretty crowded. How are you? Good, good.
Just as human refugees have found a haven in Rwanda's capital, the nation has become a last refuge of Africa's mountain gorillas. Roughly 700 gorillas live in the Virunga volcano range, stretching 80 kilometers from Rwanda into Uganda and Congo. They suffer terrible pressure from the human population. Andreas wants to see if and how they can survive. Armed guides accompany every visitor to the gorillas as a precaution against poachers. Here, on the Rwandan side, the farmland stretches right up to the foot of the volcanoes. The Rwandan government built this wall between the fields and the national park. The farmers aren't allowed to cross, but the gorillas do. At night they come down and grab their share of potatoes and corn.
We are walking up through several different vegetation zones. This is a bamboo forest. We are going up now into the mountain rainforest. There are a lot of mosquitoes around here, but they are not dangerous because we are above the malaria zone.
These golden monkeys are found only in the Virunga Mountains. Like the gorillas, they're listed as an endangered species. Zoologists still know very little about their behavior.
Everything is a bit bigger in the jungle, the gorillas, but also the rainworms.
No one can guarantee a gorilla sighting. And today, the gorillas aren't cooperating.
The scouts 3 hours ahead of us have lost the gorillas. I think we went wrong. We have to find a new trail.
They hope to catch up with a tourist group having better luck. And it works.
Those people see there, they're the truckers.
Now, at last, Andreas has a chance to film.
And for that, they eat the whole plant, even the roots.
As the gorilla approaches, the tourists anticipate the experience of a lifetime and get it.
Don't fly. No problem.
Now, how big do you feel it?
But this is a shake, huh? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely a friendly pat. You know,
Yeah.
but,
And how do you feel after this?
I feel good. It feels a really good thing. I'm never going to wash my back again.
Okay.
But the force just came like that.
Yeah.
Get out of the way. You know,
Yeah. Looks like he likes to take you with.
The tourist dollars can save the gorillas and provide jobs for Rwandans. But these gorillas have grown too accustomed to humans. They wouldn't behave like this on their own. It's clearly stressful for the alpha male. This group will stay with the gorillas for only an hour. Often the gorillas decide when it's time to go.
Retard can get angry.
Yeah.
Yes, and you can have a problem with the him.
And the stress.
Yes.
A glance down makes it clear just how little space the gorillas have left. Farmers use every available parcel of land to grow food for the expanding human population. If Andreas wants a truly wild encounter with gorillas under more remote conditions, he'll have to travel across the country to the furthest and highest volcanoes in the Virunga Range. They rise to 4,000 meters. Down here in the villages, everyone wants to help. There's nothing like a camera crew to get people excited.
Yeah. Uganda. Next Uganda. Kinigi. It's very crowded here.
The joint's really jumping.
After getting directions, Andreas continues on his way across the country. In the last settlement before the mountain, he's arranged for a new guide who'll take him to the wild gorillas. This guide, Fidel, comes highly recommended. Andreas will meet him for the first time at this bar. They seal the deal with freshly fermented banana beer. Everyone has to drink, even the last one.
They drink it like this? Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try. Oh, it's a lot of alcohol. It's special. Let's say this.
Looks good. A bit like washing up water.
Next step, selecting the bearers, men used to the rugged terrain. They'll earn $5 for 4 days' work, a good wage in these parts. They'll help carry equipment and provisions up the steep slope.
He needs something for his head. Huh?
No problem.
Besides Fidel and the bearers, Andreas gets more than he bargained for.
But this looks for me like so half of the Rwandan army comes with us, huh?
Yeah.
Fidel, why we have him with? Well, this is for tanks.
It seems excessive, but Andreas isn't the only one in search of gorillas. The soldiers worry about poachers who kill gorillas for their meat or slaughter their mothers and sell the babies. Poachers can resort to ruthless tactics, and they don't like witnesses. It's a long way up for the crew. Andreas won't run into any tourists this time. So far, they're off to a good start. It's rare to find a group of young gorillas playing and eating like this. Gorillas are primarily vegetarian. An adult male will eat about 25 kilos of vegetation a day. Like the gorillas Andreas observed earlier, these have gotten used to seeing humans. But people come here less often, and so the gorillas don't get as stressed. Still, Andreas wants to see gorillas living as far from civilization as possible.
Hey, good morning. Everything falls out of the trees here.
Hey, good morning.
This is a dwarf chameleon. The mountain holds its share of small delights, too.
Like, we make a trail.
And unexpected hazards.
I landed in stinging nettles. It's really painful. It's gone through my shirt.
This is the gravesite of Diane Fossey. The villagers call her Niriam Mahabeli, the woman who lives alone on the mountain. But Fossey was never alone. She lived among the gorillas and devoted her life to protecting them until she was murdered by poachers. She's buried next to the gorillas she loved, including Digit, her favorite. After poachers killed Digit, Fossey set up a gorilla protection fund. Without her, there might be no mountain gorillas left. Now they're 3,800 meters up, in the chilly and damp subalpine zone, where the temperature hovers around 8 degrees Celsius and the humidity is 90%.
I built up my tent, so it's fine. We don't need you.
The group settles in for the night. The porters break out the food they carried up the mountain: corn, beans, potatoes, and bananas. There's no meat on the menu. Meat is a luxury here, and bush meat, game hunted on the mountain, is restricted. Andreas just wants to sleep. Tomorrow could be a big day. Then gunfire shatters the quiet. The guides and soldiers spring into action. It could be anything: rebels, poachers, or tribal warfare. 3 countries meet here, and the 2 neighbors, Congo and Uganda, both have had simmering civil wars. Now Andreas sees why so many soldiers insisted on escorting them. But the trouble dies down, and the group passes a quiet night on the mountain. Andreas has 3 days left, 72 hours, to find and film gorillas that have barely seen a human. The terrain gets more and more precarious with every step.
We can go under. What's easier? Under. Okay.
Progress takes patience and good balance. This looks like virgin territory, but someone got here first. The poachers. They hunt these forests for fresh meat, some of it legal, some of it not. And sometimes a gorilla gets snared.
Yeah. And then he hangs like this.
Yeah, he hangs like this.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then this goes close. Yeah.
Many gorillas lose their hands or die of infection or starvation when the wire tightens.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So who sets the traps here? The poacher
The
or?
poachers. Yeah, that's the poachers.
Oh, he gave me a hand.
If poachers have come here, then gorillas can't be far off. And then Andreas finds them. These gorillas show a wide range of ages, a healthy sign. The only humans they've seen recently are scientists, so they're neither scared nor especially curious about today's visitors. Andreas approaches them cautiously, slowly building trust. The alpha male stays calm, so Andreas can relax a little. When a male gorilla reaches sexual maturity at about 10 years, the hair on his back lightens, and he's called a silverback. On the second night, the available light camera allows Andreas to move in close and capture nighttime behavior. The gorillas realize that Andreas is there, but they don't feel disturbed. With 11 hours of darkness, they have plenty of time to rest. And during the day, the gorillas return to their nests for a nap. At some point each day, after soiling their old nest, they'll quickly make a new one. The next morning, Andreas' last day, the gorillas descend to enjoy the breakfast buffet. They can eat nearly 40 kinds of plants on this mountainside.
Those are 2 big males, 2 silverbacks.
The gorillas aren't quite sure what to make of Andreas.
This was pretty close.
Andreas has the privilege of being one of the few to see gorillas truly in the wild. And apparently they're just as honored to see Andreas. Now that he has shared this wild encounter with the gorillas, Andreas is ready to find an even more elusive target on America's last frontier. Andreas flies to southeast Alaska, where the mountains meet the North Pacific Ocean. And it's freezing.
It's so cold!
Andreas has come in search of the legendary blue bear, also called a glacier bear, a creature so rare that few people have ever seen one. Biologists believe that thousands of years ago, glaciers trapped the blue bears here. Their color was ideal camouflage against the backdrop of glacier ice, and they flourished. But over the centuries, as the glaciers retreated, the blue bears spread out and interbred with the black bears, whose darker pelts soon dominated. And now, the black bears flourish. This mother looks nervous. She doesn't like being exposed on the mountainside where a grizzly bear can spot her. Grizzlies have been known to kill black bear cubs and even adults. This rocky ground makes it difficult to track bears. But Andreas finds some telltale signs.
A bear dug this, for sure, a grizzly or a black bear. They try to dig the roots out of the ground. They are old willow roots. And the bark contains lots of acids that make aspirin. And the bears get high on that. The Native Americans know about it, and they use the roots as a painkiller.
This moose has just molted the velvet on his antlers. He'll guide Andreas through the brush.
The only way to get through the brush is to follow the tracks of the moose. There are plenty because they love willow leaves, and the valley is full of them. But you can bump into a grizzly, and this is really dangerous.
Every year, bull moose gather here, weeks before the mating season.
The mating call of a bull moose isn't exactly spectacular. Not very impressive for the world's biggest deer, but he will react to it.
The bull moose's antlers do double duty. First, they signify his strength and status, and if that's not convincing enough, they make formidable weapons. Andreas takes a huge risk approaching a bull moose like this, especially in the mating season. The moose may be curious, or he may see Andreas as a rival. More people have been killed by moose than have ever been mauled by grizzly bears. By brushing his antlers through the undergrowth, the moose tells Andreas to back off. Having sent his message, he saunters away. The terrain here is often exceedingly rugged, but not always. A true wonderland unfolds within the great valleys between the glaciers, an extraordinary primeval temperate rainforest. Perhaps the blue bears have made their home here. But the first bears Andreas finds are coastal brown bears or grizzlies, a mother and her cubs.
It's amazing how the brown bear cubs play. Play means the same to bears as it does to humans. It's necessary for learning skills and how to become one of the group.
Normally, grizzlies prefer open country, but maybe they're getting a jump on the coming salmon season. The salmon swim upriver to spawn the same time each summer. Except for a mother tending to her cubs, bears usually live alone, but salmon season will bring them out in force.
This is the last summer the bears will spend with their mother. They are already very big, 2.5 years old. In some areas, they would be ready to go now, but I think she will keep the cubs another year. And next spring, when she is on heat again, she will reject the cubs very brutally. Again and again, in the past few days, I've seen hummingbirds here. I can hardly believe it. The rufous hummingbird is one of the few species big enough and strong enough to make it up to here. Every year, they come from Mexico to the coast of British Columbia and Alaska to breed. And there's another one.
No other hummingbirds fly this far north, the farthest migration of any birds this size.
"150 frames a second takes up a lot of film. I've got to change rolls."
It's a magnificent forest with magnificent creatures. But Andreas has to concede that if he wants to find the blue bear, he'll have to hit the road. Hunting guide Lance Goodwin may help.
I mean, I've got black bear and glacier bear in the same picture.
Really?
Yeah. And it's one of the black bears, a young boar, and I've ran into him a couple times, and he's an old boar now. I mean, he's a big bear now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
No, I'm really curious to see.
Yeah, well, let's go over and take a look at it. It's pretty silver. His head is a little dark in that, but when there's some closer up shots here that even people that live around this area here have no comprehension of what it is, or they might have heard of it, but that's about all, because there is no information on them and nothing's ever been done with them. Therefore, people don't know anything about them, you know, so. No one will ever get that shot again where there's a black bear and a glacier bear in the same picture. No one.
And this really tells the difference between a black bear and a glacier bear.
Yeah, well, look at how black he is.
Lance suggests a trip south along the coast, where black bears gather for the salmon run. Rumor has it a blue bear was once spotted there. It's worth a look. Brenda Schwartz runs the local travel company.
I have to ask you something about you ever saw a light-colored black bear, like a bluish-looking bear or gray?
I've never seen one. It's always been a personal goal for me because I really enjoy watching bears.
It's a refrain Andreas hears over and over again in these parts.
Some of those bears, and I have never seen one myself, and I've only heard of.
With black bears, it's a different story. They're spotted everywhere. This one's trying to escape a grizzly. The rains have swollen the river. The steep banks challenge Andreas and his traveler. He wants to get the best view without being noticed.
This is a fantastic natural height. The bears will hardly see me here.
The high water is great for the salmon, but it won't make for easy fishing. This year the bears will really have to earn their supper. The males take the best fishing spots, while the females withdraw to the banks to feed their cubs. For the little ones, it's a learning opportunity, their first fishing trip. One bite of fresh salmon, and they're hooked for life. This mother bear became separated from her cub. He's wandered off and got into trouble. His troubles have just begun. He might have been safer in the water. When he climbs out, the males go after him. Male black bears have no qualms about killing cubs, even their own.
I really thought the bear cub was finished. He was lucky because the male had eaten his fill, and he couldn't follow the cub between the rocks. Lucky bear.
Over the next week, Andreas watches the bears fattening up on their rich salmon diet, getting ready for the winter. Every day, the black bears come and go, but the legendary blue bear never shows. Spotting a blue bear takes more luck than patience. This time, Andreas didn't have. His next wild encounter promises to be a little more dependable, as he heads to the tropics to witness a spectacular annual event.
When people think on the Dominican Republic, they think on palm trees and white beaches. But here on Cape Samana, it's always really rough weather. And this is a very unique place. About 5,000 humpback whales show every year up here for the mating season and for the birth of the calves.
About 5,000 whales. That's almost the Atlantic's entire humpback population. Filming them should be one wild encounter. And one really tough assignment. The swell that makes this spot so enticing to the whales creates a nightmare for a filmmaker.
We can turn around. Oh, you bugger. It's so rough here. You don't believe this.
Creatures the size of buses shouldn't be hard to spot, but the whales vanish in the waves before Andreas can get a clean shot. Like paparazzi, he just keeps shooting and hoping for the best. Sometimes he gets it.
Leon is a very expert captain, and he drives me very well to the whales. The problem is the rough sea, so it's very hard to film a very smooth sequence.
Humpback whales have the longest fins of any whale anywhere, measuring up to 5 meters, or a third of their body length. And they're not shy about showing them off by slapping them in the water. No one is sure why they do it. Some say it serves to stun the fish below, which they can then hoover up. Andreas prefers another theory.
We don't know exactly what it's all about, but it has something to do with communication and probably also with pure joy.
The sound travels many miles through the water, more than 3 times faster than it would travel through air. Now the whales are swimming along close to shore. They're not too easy to follow.
There's a huge reef in front of us.
Now's a good time to go ashore for a while. The island shares an indelible connection with the whales, but it's hidden a long way inland. Close to the peak of the island. Here, on the roof of these caves,
when in the 15th century the Spanish conquistadores arrived this island, they come together with the Aboriginal people here. They are called Taínos. But they survive only 150 years, then they are all killed. All what we can see now is some tools and the rock painting.
And this is definitely a humpback whale. Flipper, blow and tail. Painted by a lost culture.
Young humpback whales, they are right here in front of the reef. I like to dive down, and this here is a special mask where I can talk with underwater.
It's a first for testing this radio system too.
Ready to dive? Is really bad.
The rough sea has churned up the sand, reducing Andreas' visibility and his enthusiasm to 0.
The current's too strong. I'm coming up.
It may look clear from up here, but as soon as you dive, the water is cloudy. There's lots of sediment. I lost the whales within 30 seconds. I don't know where they are.
But at last, on Andreas' final day of shooting, the weather settles enough to smoothly maneuver a boat and a camera. All that's left is the waiting. And the waiting. Just to get a glimpse of what makes these endangered animals so utterly breathtaking. And to get that perfect shot of this wild encounter.